Hi, good evening. We sharply start our webinar at 4. Please wait for a few joinees. Okay, let's start the session. I am Narmada from SPIKRA. Here we are doing Zoho product sales as well as services. I am the product consultant as well as Zoho Books trainer. Here we are conducting online offline Zoho Books training. If you have any queries regarding the Zoho Books, you can ping me at the chat. Thank you. Just we navigate to the Zoho Books banking module. Move on to the banking module. In banking module, we're just going to the how to navigate to the banking modules and how to upload the opening balances of that existing banking accounts and how to add the banking account. In Zoho Books, click on this banking module. Before this, we have to enter the opening balances of that particular banking. Click this gear icon. Move on to the opening balances. Click the edit option. Here it shows the bank, which bank that you have to integrate with the Zoho Books. Enter the particular debit and credit values and then continue and then make it confirm. This is how we are going to enter the opening balances of the already existing bank account. Then we are going to see how to integrate the particular bank account to the Zoho Books. For that, we have to click this add bank or credit card. Then we have to select from the list. Here it shows like ICICI Bank, HDFC Bank. Press connect to the connect button. Then select the service provider, either Yardley or token. Then agree the terms and condition and click on to the proceed button. If your bank or which does not exist in the list means you can manually add the particular bank. For that, click on this add account. Enter the details of that bank, account name, account code, currency, IFS code, all the inputs needed, and then save. Then it will be automatically your bank account will be integrated to the Zoho Books. After that, it will show what are the accounts that are integrated with the Zoho Books. It will be shows from this icon. If you click this all accounts, it will show what are the banks that are integrated to the Zoho Books. Once we connected to the Zoho Books, we can identify whether our bank account is active or inactive. The icon which shows like this will be showed in the active status or else in the inactive status. And then we are going to see the how to match the transaction. For example, once the statement fetched into the Zoho Books, number of transactions are displayed. We have to categorize what are the transactions belong to the invoices and what are the transactions matched to the bills. Likewise, we have to categorize that. For example, if you want to click some transaction, here it shows 287830. While click on this, it moves to the exact matches or possibility matches of that transaction. It shows what are the possibility matches to that particular transaction. For example, if you are receiving from the vendor 1,000 rupees from three vendor means it shows the possible matches of three bills belong to the three vendors. We have to categorize manually, or else we have to set the transaction rules. These are the vendors where we are receiving these amounts. Likewise, if you are setting the transaction rules, it will automatically categorize the match transaction and the status will be changed to the match transaction. Likewise, it will be displayed once it is categorized and matched. And then this one is create new transaction. For the scenario, if you are paying the bill amount to the vendor through the some payment gateway, means there are some transaction fee for that payment gateway. Those payment gateway transaction fee will be captured under this create new transaction under the expenses, which does not already exist in the invoices or bills. So we have to create and capture those expenses in the new create transaction module. And then match deposit with withdrawals. For the scenarios, if you are paying, if you are doing a business, we are giving invoices to the client. At the return, we are getting services from that client. So we are raising invoices to the client and the client invoices raised to the bill. But we are going to make the payment only one. For example, if you are raising the invoices amount of 8,000, for the service of the bill by returning, we are taking as 3,000. We have to net that value as 5,000. These 5,000 will be captured in the match transaction, deposit with withdrawals, deposit of 5,000 and the withdrawals of 3,000. Both will be netted and calculated. Likewise, the match transaction withdrawals with the deposit. For example, if you are buying a furniture from the vendors, the vendor give the cash back to that particular transaction. For example, if you are buying a furniture for the 10,000 means we get the cash back of 1,000 rupees. Those 10,000 will be captured under the bill module and the 1,000 rupees will be captured under the deposit for the other income transaction account. Categorize transaction manually. For some scenario, if our transaction does not involve with the invoices as well as bills, but we are receiving those transactions from the bank, which are either the expenses or liability or equity. Those transactions will be captured by manually. For example, if you are giving salaries to the employees, those salary will be captured in the bank statement. That transaction will be matched with the Zoho Books by manually transaction. For example, here we have to select this category expenses account as salary, define the date, amount, and then save. Those salary details will be captured under the expenses. For example, if you are getting the capital amount from the owner, means we have to capture thus owner contribution under the equity. Those transactions will be captured in the Zoho Books banking. And then transaction rule. Transaction rule means we can set some transaction rule that automatically categorize the transaction with the Zoho Books. For example, if you are receiving if you are paying to the vendor internet charges month on month to the same vendor for the same amount, we can set the criteria for this transaction rule. We can set the vendor. Once we can set this transaction rule, automatically it categorizes the vendor amount to that particular transaction. And then reconciliation. Once we are matched all the transaction categorized, uncategorized, we have to reconciliation. What are the transaction involved in the bank statement and what are the transaction already exist in the Zoho Books that has to match us equally. This we called as reconciliation. To do that, we have to click this gear icon under this reconcile account, and then we have to initiate that reconcile account. We have to define what range that we are going to reconcile, for which month that we are going to reconcile. Likewise, we have to define the reconcile date. Once we reconcile, initiate the reconcile, it will be reconcile all the transactions. What are the transactions already exist in the Zoho Books, and what are the matches exist in the transaction statements. And then in some scenarios, we are some transaction which is not already exist in the bank statement, that we can exclude. If you have any duplicate transaction in your bank statement and you do not want to include in a company's financial reports you can exclude them. For that, we have to select the uncategorized transactions tab, select the checkbox near to the transaction you wish to exclude, and click that exclude button. This will automatically exclude all the transaction. If you want to restore those exclude transaction we can do. Likewise, we can unmatch the transaction, or else we can match the transaction bulk wise. Select the drop down in the Zoho Books transaction tab and select match to view all the match transaction. Select the checkbox next to the transactions you wish to unmatch and click the unmatch option. Then click yes, then unmatch pop-up in the appears. It will unmatch all the categorized transaction. Likewise, if you want to categorize all the transaction as bulk we have to select what are the transaction that we are going to categorize we can do the bulk categorize, as well as we can do the bulk uncategorized. I'll move on to the this is a demo account. So it already shows the manually added the transaction. Here we can click this gear icon. We can edit that particular bank account which does not reflect the previous transactions. We can delete the account, or else we can make inactive that bank account. Here we can view what are the categorized transaction, what are the uncategorized transaction. Likewise, we can view it. We can view the reports too for the reconciliation status. We can filter either by the week, previous month, or custom date range. We can select what are the accounts that reconciled already. Likewise, we can view from the reports. We can either share that reports or export that reports. Thank you. If you have any queries regarding the banking modem, you can ping me to the sales@spikra.com. Thank you. Thank you for participating. Thank you.